Good morning. Welcome to City Life. I'm Linda Bown. I'm your host. Haven't seen you in a while. I have the mayor on, Erik Gitschier. And so, tell me all this. I haven't seen you in a very long time, like since election or something.
How was your holidays?
My holidays were excellent.
Hey, Linda, do me a favor.
Yes?
Look at Erik on the monitor.
Look at Erik on the monitor. Okay.
Please.
Yes, sir. He's only been saying this to me for, 10 years or so.
Well, yesterday I'm talking about it, and Tommy Bumble says, Linda does it okay.
Nothing like throwing you right under the bus.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Okay.
But yeah, it has been a interesting last month and a half, and I think the city is in a good position. We're just getting ready for budgets, and
Oh, yeah.
that's always going to be tough. You know, in the school side is the same thing. We had a nice memo from the assistant superintendent of finance over there. He's basically outlining some of the direction that they're ready to go in financially, and looking at areas where they see they're worried about right now for funding sources.
What's happened? Tell me about the high school. What's the status of that now?
Now, the high school has been a very interesting development. We had them come back, and they wanted almost $40 million, which John Dakota, Councilor Dakota, and myself voted against. When we did that, it triggered that it failed, and they had to go back to the drawing board. And now they've came back with $36 million they're looking for, so it was a cut of about 10% roughly of the amount they initially were asking for, between contingency and the contractor costs. When I say contractor costs, it's the OPM and architect. So.
Now, why is it over? I know they always say costs. I guess that the price of everything went up and all of that. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, initially when the city took on this project, they did a thing called construction management at risk, and what that did is it will tell you the pricing up front, and then we went with guaranteed maximum pricing, meaning that what the price was what the price is, and that's what you're going to pay for the outlined description of the project. But there were areas that we didn't investigate enough and had overruns. In between that, there was a $38 million overrun due to inflation and the COVID piece. Senator Kennedy at the time had got all of those fundings, not only for the city of Lowell, but Tewksbury also on their projects. He worked hard at saying, look, this is not the fault of any of the communities, but how do we get back these funds? So he did, and he gave us back that. So the initial $38 million was absorbed by the state. Now we got into other areas of the building where they found things that they weren't projecting it to be in the project. So when they found those things,
Like
they
what?
came back change orders. The flooring in two of the buildings, the 1922 building, but that was due to, my opinion, again, it was due to their lack of investigating the flooring prior
The
to.
1922 building, that's the one closest to Father Morissette Boulevard?
Correct.
Okay, just so the public knows.
Yeah, and the 1890 building's one right behind it.
That's the one closest to Merrimack Street.
Correct, yes.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Okay.
and when you look at both floors, we're not investigated enough during the pre-MSBA, which is the Mass Building Association, submissions. So once you don't put them in, they're outside the scope of the project, and the city is held liable for the costs. So that's a problem, because they didn't do their work. It ended up on us.
Who is they?
It would be the OPM and the architect. So
Okay. Now, don't they ever have to be responsible for anything?
in government, that's a very hard thing to hold people responsible, as you know. You've been around it for a long time. So the ultimate thing is to try to get the project done, but also we're looking at 1.6% increase compounded over the next 3 years, meaning 1.6% of our budget before we even do anything about electricity cost. will shift right to that. So
Wow.
even if you hit the 2.5 and you add that, you're already at 4.1. So I would say this tax increase this time will be over 5%. I would bet.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's a
And
lot.
then that's in addition to the assessments people are taking in. So what that does is that driver forces rents up, because I don't know any owner of a property who's going to absorb those costs. They're going to have to sell their Porsche or their
Yeah.
boat or something, and they're not going to do that. I hate to tell everybody. This is a business to them, and they're just going to jack up the rentals.
Wow. That's,
Yeah. It's a tough thing to see and watch happen in front of your eyes, because you would think that people are diligent enough. And of course, people are going to point to the extremes and say, look at the cost of the Lexington High School. We got a bargain. You don't run a business looking at the cost of other places and say you got a bargain.
Right.
And Lexington only gets about 10% back from the MSBA, so they don't really care about the state funding as much as the city of Lowell is in need of it.
well, now, the vote always comes in under budget. They come in on time. Why is that?
I think you're in a unique setting because of the tradespeople, and when you get all of these people on boards, when they picked the OPM, which is the owner's project manager, 4 people picked that, and none of them had construction background or anything like that. They were on that. Yes, they were administrators for government, but there's a
They're just
there's a
well
balance.
connected.
There's a balance, John. And when Greater Lowell picked theirs, most of the people were construction people. You look at George Anthes, that's what he did for a living. He understands all of these things. He knows how to read through them. Ray Boone's a real estate person. He understands, how to do inspections and stuff like that. Dave Tully was a financial genius. He looks at those things. So it's a different makeup of each board.
Yeah.
And I think that in government, sometimes we try to do better because we force people to have these things in place. Government forces you to have an owner's project manager, which used to be the clerk of the works, but now they've become, you need to have an engineering degree, you need to have architectural degrees to get that, and sometimes I don't know that we get the best bang for the buck.
Well, that puts it down. That kind of puts you down a little bit, just knowing it's like an albatross, right? Where do you begin? What's happening with the front runner? Anything?
Yeah, the front runner city is moving along. I created a subcommittee for it, and the chair is Councilor Rourke, and on the committee is Councilor Dakota and Councilor Scott. So we put people who were involved from the very beginning, and tried to understand. They've been to all of the meetings and everything that has gone on. So we tried to continue the path that we're on. Right now, it's behind in the scheduling. We should have already seen some monies coming in for investors, but hopefully we see that in the next couple months. That
Okay.
we see the money, and at least the next month or two, and maybe prior to that. But I had a nice conversation. We had a Zoom meeting last Friday, and it went well.
Good.
Yeah.
So when you say the money was for investors, do you have a plan yet?
Yeah, there are projects in their queuing that they're looking at, and hopefully the investors come up and invest in each one of the projects and meet the standards that they're looking for.
Now, the investors we're talking about aren't from here, are they?
No, they're not. No.
So they're bringing money in. That's kind of a good thing, right?
Yeah, and anytime we can get lower interest rates on the dollar and give investors a path to get the construction going, because construction loans are very expensive right now because of the inflation and everything built into the percentage rates that people are taking. It's all but halted in a lot of areas, but Lowell, we're very lucky that we have people investing and still moving in that path.
Well, yeah, because now you're really beginning to see things, right, with the Hamilton, the jam, the old jam plan, that type of thing. That's all coming to fruition, and you get the link, right?
Yeah, and DPD has really pushed these developments, and they're right on top of it. Whether I agree with the type of setting that it's going to be placed in it, is here nor there. I think that our challenge in our community is creating business and keeping businesses here. Without business, we just become a social service area, as we have. That's been our economic development plan in downtown for a very long time.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to keep a business in that type of setting, unless you're a certain type of business. But we need to get to businesses that pay a fair wage so people can afford the market, because the market isn't just going to necessarily drop in our community based off of our will without government support. So if government support comes in, it's just more taxpayer money offsetting cost, and it comes out of whether it's your check, your state or your federal taxes, or it's your local grants that you're getting that could be shared in other places. But that's where the funding's coming from many of these projects that are going on. You're looking for TIFs and ties and that type of stuff, tax breaks.
Now, talking about TIFs, that will still play a big part, right, in this front runner?
No, of course, yeah. I think the people are going to come in and, if the land wasn't used and you can get taxes like we watch it on the Markley property, where there was a $77 million TIF. And when you look at it, there's tax incentives there that have pushed down the cost for them, where now they're shifting those tax savings and buying the property up all around there because neighbors are complaining about the use of the property. So that they're using your tax money to buy against you. And it just...
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's just shifting the funding and buying up a neighborhood to mitigate the complaints that you're getting, which is not right. And it's sad for the neighbors over there, the ones who are staying and not selling their properties because of the use, and just a total disregard for a neighborhood setting, and just quality of life issues over there are sad to watch. And I think Council Scott has really pushed back with the council, and I think that we're moving in a direction where people are going to understand these district councilors care about their neighborhoods, and they're going to push back. And it's working right now, so hopefully we get developments that are neighborhood friendly at the same time, can create jobs.
Now, is most of the direction for the renewal going to be in Council Scott's district?
Currently, that's where it is, yeah.
It's right around here, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think back when all of these things were signed that anybody understood how big AI would go and what the ramifications were of these things. We were trying to fill a property and trying to get people in there that would be good to the community, not understanding the outcome for the environment in their area, their quality of life.
So that's the old Prince Spaghetti property, right?
Correct.
That has caused a lot of aggro.
Yeah, and I think that we're moving in a direction that, the neighbors want what they want.
Yeah. Eric, why won't they
good
put up a
conversation.
big chimney stack? Most of the problems would go away. The reason we have chimney stacks all over the city of Lowell that are over 100 feet high is because the neighborhood would die if the exhaust was let out of the ground level. Now, just because we can't see the exhaust doesn't mean it's not being harmful to us. If Markley, or whatever the heck the name of the cloud company is, put up a 100-foot chimney, all the noise would be 100 feet above everybody, and all the bad fumes would be 100 feet above everybody. And I think a lot of people would be happy. Why doesn't anybody ask them to? All the other mills have to do that. Why? Anybody ever ask? Why? Just put a chimney up, man.
The answer, John, is that they meet all of DEP's requirements.
I couldn't care
That's
less.
what they say to you. That they could care less what you have
You
to
know
say.
what?
as
Does
long
the
as they meet it.
DEP require they have a locked gate?
That's up to
Does
them.
the
It's their
DEP
property.
require they have employee parking? So that's bunk.
Yeah.
If you want to make this neighborhood happy, Mr. Markley, or whatever your name is, put up a 100-foot chimney and take the problem to the atmosphere where it can be handled.
I'm
And you
just
say
giving
it's
you the
not
answer.
required, well, it's going to be required by this neighborhood. That's my take on the whole
They have
thing.
never been neighborhood friendly over there.
Isn't that
If that's from
interesting?
that's from the neighbors. So they just keep pointing to DEP regulations and how they meet them, and how they feel as though that's their obligation.
I went to one meeting with Mark Clay, and he's at the meeting, and they pointed out who he was. I walked over and I said, hi, I got a couple of questions for you. I don't take questions. Talk to that guy over there. I pay him to take questions. And so that was the end of Mr. Mark Clay. He said, good morning. On the renovation of the high school, did the state mandate the project have any sort of a green agenda implemented in the renovation? That's from Jay.
Yeah, I haven't dialed into that piece that deep, but I'm sure it does. I'm sure there are efficiencies on the heating system and the thermal windows and stuff like that. So I'm sure it does, but I haven't dove into exact measurements of what the green technology is that had to be filtered in. I know that that's part of all the building in the state that MSBA will fund. So what that is, I don't have the exact terminology for you or what the ratings are, but I'm sure it's built in.
Thank you.
I was by the university the other day. Do they no longer have the windmill? Didn't they used to have windmills on top of at the university over in Cumnock or over there?
I believe they did at one point.
Maybe I just can't see it, but I was kind of looking for the windmill. I thought maybe that they realized it killed too many birds or something.
Anytime that we can save money and reduce costs, that's what we should be doing. You take the Bailey School, and I've called over to Sean Machado. The windows are open over there during the day right now because the heating unit is not working. The controls that control the unit are not working correctly, and it's been over a year that it hasn't been working that right. So when you look at your electric bill and you see what it costs you, can you imagine what the waste of spending is going on there? And we just seem as though we keep saying there's something this or that. There's always an issue why we can't. We need to. Whether the cost is $150,000 or $200,000, we still have to fix it because we're throwing good money out that window.
Yeah.
And that building's big. Just my gas bill just the other day was $650, the highest I've ever seen. And if you flip it over, you can see that government's reach is in the back of it. And it's a sad, sad day for people who can't afford these bills. And you're watching them. That's double what I've ever paid, prior to these tax increases on the electric side. And we need to rein it in because people are not going to be able to afford these things, and or they can't currently. And we're pushing people we're pushing the middle class into the poorhouse, and we got to do something.
Well, yeah, they're definitely taking it in the chin right now because they're just picking up the tab for everything.
You would think our state reps and state senate and our Congress people and our United States senators would come in and say, look, this can't happen. We need to do something. If you really cared about the low-income people and the drivers, sure, the low-income people get fed by government. So that just increases your taxes because your money's going there and you can't use it in other areas. There's only so much that they're giving right now. And under the administration, the federal administration, you're seeing that they want to cut at the lowest levels. They're looking at all those small grants and they're pulling them, and they don't understand what it means to, like, the food banks and places like that.
Well, now, on the front runner, weren't they talking about consolidating all the nonprofits in like one location? Is that
I don't think that was the full gist of that piece, but again, moving nonprofits all into one area, you can't have segregation at the same time. We can plan all we want, but people have still an open market to where they want to do business, and I think that's the challenge. Is right now, downtown has become a real first-class neighborhood, and then when you look at now, you got a neighborhood that people our age are still calling a business district.
Yeah.
So there's a crossover in what wants to happen, and I think that is where we're challenging in our planning is, are we going for a neighborhood? Are we going for a business? Are we going for a mix between the two? Or are we going for a social service setting that government has taken over the buildings? We pay a lot of rent down there for a lot of things for government agencies, and I think that we have to look at that if we want businesses here.
Well, I know that the old Bon Marché is all the school department, right? Is
Correct.
that- So,
Linda, when you shop, do you shop, my microphone's hit. Do you go out to the store and shop, or do you shop online?
I go out to the store.
I do online. How about you, Eric?
I go to the store, John. I like to try things on. I still like to feel the things. I like to look
Yeah.
at them. I have a hard time online. So if I was going to buy online, I probably would go to the store first and see how something fit,
Yeah.
looked, and everything, and then
Yeah.
look at the price. And
Yeah, well, when you're in the store, do you notice the line to pay is not what it used to be?
I think it depends. If you go to the Burlington Mall, I think that wouldn't be a truth. I think the lines are pretty big out there. People still go out there. With the casino out in Nashua the other day, we went up to just get a tie out at one of the stores, and it seemed like the mall had people in it,
Yeah.
and they were at the food stuff, and but you're right, a lot of the little things.
The
that are being
population at the store is nowhere near what it used to be. Target does a fantastic business, but when they first, Jimmy Milanazzo is the guy who cut the ribbon for all that stuff over there, and the business isn't what it was then. Most people just shop on. You can get 6-inch shoelaces delivered to your house. If you order them right now, they'll probably be at your house this afternoon.
Do you agree that we've become an antisocial society? That
Yes.
now we're
No,
into
we've
our
always been a
phones
lazy society.
Well, we've always socialized, though. I think now, when you walk through, people will put their heads down, or they're not as social. They don't even look at you in your eyes when you talk to people a lot of times today. It's just different. We're changing.
But when I go out, I'm looking to see like an Erik Gitschier or a Linda Bown. Hey, how you doing? I mean, I'll yell across the room, and when I see Regina or somebody, if I see somebody I know in the store, I'm going to yell to them, hey, how you doing? Oh, you forgot to wear your pants.
You come from a different generation. The kids today, you can see them in hallways of schools. Their heads buried in a phone until some adult tells them, put your phone away. Or they're trying to just move fast. They're so fast paced because everything in our system is dialed in so tightly. Whether you're running from one class to another, you see how quickly people have to move. And I think it's a very, very tough setting for a lot of people.
Well, my granddaughter Zoe, when I go out with her, she'll say, Papa, why do you know so many people, and why do you have to say hello to them?
My son does
It's
that.
just my way. It's what I do.
When you become mayor, you get a lot of pictures.
Oh, yeah.
People want to take pictures.
I can
People
only
wanna take
imagine.
Pictures. And the kids are the best at it because they have all these ways of taking pictures. And but that's what they do. And it's just different than when we were kids. I don't remember a summer that went by when I was a kid that somebody didn't break a bone. Today you don't see people in casts, and when you do, you're like, oh, what happened to you? When I was a kid, they were like, oh yeah, nice cast, get away. But when today you see them, it's like, oh, what happened to you? Like the world fell over and
Yeah.
broke your bone.
Yeah, they're not getting broken bones till they get to be my age.
I don't know. It's just amazing to me, and even in the sports arena, you see them pulling a lot of muscles, and broken bones are not really a big thing anymore.
Well, maybe we're getting more vitamin D or something.
Maybe. I don't think people go out much, though, out of their house.
That's true. That's
it-
true. Well, I don't know. Are the kids starting to play in the playgrounds more? I would like to think so.
I'm hoping so because we just
You spent a
put
fortune,
$9 million
yeah.
in them, and probably 11 in open space. And the Riley School playground opened up this week. It'll be open for the kids, and
Oh, really?
yeah, and it's just you want nice things. You want to make sure people take care of nice things, and we need to maintain nice things. Those three things don't always go together. Sometimes we put up something brand new and we think that it needs zero maintenance, and we just let it fall apart. And then we worry about it once it falls apart because we really don't have a capital plan in place. And hopefully that's where we're going in the future, is capital planning, making sure we understand what the next cost is going to be. How do we get down to make sense that we can save money on certain things by projecting them out, because you get better pricing when you project things out. When you look at our paving program, we used to jump from one part of the city to the other, to the other, to the other. Now we try to dial in more projects in one area because the setup costs go down that way, the mobilization costs. And that's really what you want to do. And I know people will say, well, my road rating is this over here, but we're in this area taking care of multiple road ratings that are in and near and around what you do. And I think that that's been a major focus over the last few years. We went from $2 million a year to $8 and $9 million in our road construction. I don't know that we can sustain that because now we're looking at cuts in other areas that we really have to say, okay, where's the balance here now? If we didn't neglect these things for all these years, we wouldn't have that problem. The government, under their Chapter 90 monies, haven't changed the formula and the amount since 2012, and it's at $200 million for all the communities. And that's a tough one to take because of the cost of the materials have gone up so much. So now you're getting less and less and less while they take their monies and put them other places.
I was at the rink in Lowell today, this past weekend. That's quite a project you've got going on over at the stadium.
Yeah.
My.
Where we're putting the holding tank for the wastewater. Yeah, that project is going to save people's
Moving
homes
along
from
at the
flooding.
speed of government over there, by the way, too.
No, it's a major project, John. It's not something that you
Moving
just
along at the speed of government.
and see that
I
tells
know you
you.
can call me a general project or a lieutenant project, general project, a four-star general project. It's moving along at the speed of government.
Well, that was the timeline set on the project. It's on schedule. It's not outside schedule. And it's easy for someone who is not an engineer or doesn't have to do these projects to say it should be done in 3 weeks. But that project is a very hefty lift when you start looking at the stations that have to be built, the mechanical pieces that are put in that underground that people don't get to see every day. Underground work in our community and in all of the country is very undervalued because you don't see it, it's out of money.
I'll bet you Heinz Tavern with 70 new neighbors will be occupied before that's done.
I will bet you that the guys doing the work out there could build Heinz Tavern in the same amount of time, but the guys doing the building over there could not do what they're doing.
Now, speaking of Heinz Tavern, this zero parking, is that going to go away? Is there any month now that you're the king of the council, mayor of the city of Lowell? Congratulations. And is that going to change parking?
There's 13 spots for 39 apartments. The prior to
Well, it's not going to change that project. That's stuck. We're stuck with that.
no, well,
But across the street, they're doing another one.
the regulation was prior to the MSBA, the MBTA project. So the MBTA, when that came to law, it says that you can only govern the amount of spots that you currently have when it was put in place or less. I can't increase the number. So in Lowell, for the project over there, do you know what the parking requirements were for a building like that? A half a spot an apartment. That was our requirements for 30 years. Not one person complained about that. Once this came in, they said, oh, wait a minute, there is no parking requirements, which you're not wrong. But if it was a half a spot, it would be 18, 19 spots, right in there, 18 and 19 spots versus 13. So you're missing 6 spots, 5 spots. And I don't disagree that the regulation prior to the MBTA communities was way under. But the law, when it was passed, said that you can only go from what your guidance was down. Now, Drake had a much stronger parking policy, and all they did was keep to what they had. They didn't anything else, and they haven't even taken the MBTA in. So now they're not getting grants. And you want to talk about a community that's upside down. If anybody compares the city of Lowell to Drake, they might want to question where they're going. Right now, their school department's upside down. You got people picketing
Drake
out
brags they're cheap. They brag they're cheap. We're cheap. We're going to do this as cheap as we possibly can. And they've been doing that for 100 years. We pay higher taxes in Lowell, and you guys know you don't. We pay higher taxes in Lowell with all the federal and state subsidies that we have. The taxes are higher in Lowell. And the city manager couldn't care less. I'm going into your pocket again, just because I can.
Lowell has a stronger market, right? Because they have more people paying the bills. You're not wrong. And Drake, on the other hand, when you look at the school system, they're having issues. That's why when you look at Greater Lowell Technical High School today, there's over 700 person waiting list over there, and people from Drake have increased by triple over the years. So that's Drake has its challenges coming, but they're a strong community who will fight back, and I'm sure they're going to make it where they need to go.
From the audience, did they put a basketball court in a different spot when they moved to Riley School? When they moved from Riley School?
I don't believe they did.
Still there?
I don't believe they're saying when they moved it, it's no longer there.
It's no longer there.
It used to be in the corner, but I'm not sure if it's still there. I haven't looked. I'll have to look now when I drive by because I was so used to seeing it. It used to be on the other side of the playground. So if it's not there, they didn't move it.
Well, basketball is a very noisy, unless putting the lights on all night just entices the kids that are 18 years old to play basketball at 2 o'clock in the morning. And the lights should be out and the place should be closed. But I'm not in charge of that. But I remember going back to the late, great Buckles Nolan, they had a basketball court down here on South Street, right across from the South Common. And Buckles didn't like it. And we were picking up some little old lady who had passed away at 3 o'clock in the morning. We drive up South Street. There's 20 kids playing basketball at 3 o'clock in the morning under the city lights. I said, geez, this old buckaroo Buckles is right. This is crazy. So I went to the
Well,
meeting.
they're not doing anything bad.
Well, Buckles, one of the best things he ever did was he brought a basketball to the city council meeting. And he started bouncing it. And there's no law against that. And so this is what I have to live with at 3 o'clock in the morning.
When you talk about people like Buckles, it's society. You buy a house next to a farm and then you complain about the smell of the farm. You rent an apartment next to a basketball court and then you complain about the basketball court. And that's the problem with society. We move into places and we want more out of it. You get the break in the rent because of the basketball court. And then when you move into that community, you're the first person banging your fist that we don't want kids to be active in doing certain things. It'd be like going to Hadley Park and saying, the lights are on, the kids are skateboarding, and and you move into the apartment building across the way, and then you bring a skateboard into a place that never had a skateboard in it, a city council chamber, and then start skateboarding. Bouncing a basketball in a city council chambers when there was never a basketball court there is ridiculous. But people
He got his point
something.
across.
Before Mr. Nolan lived over there, that basketball court was there.
And all that happened is they moved the basketball courts to Thorndike Street.
Yeah, no one used them. They don't use when they were down below, they used to use them a lot more.
Well, there's no place to park on Thorndike Street,
Yeah,
you're right.
exactly.
They don't like to park and cross the street and use the crosswalk.
It's just, John, you understand that, and Tingsboro understands it better than anybody. When you start looking at Tingsboro and you look at the people who built homes around the farm and then complain about the smell of the farm. And then they wanted the farm to move. I mean, is that ridiculous?
Yes.
We have Mr. Tatsias over there too. He's been there for how long? And now I'm not saying people do, but can you imagine? So what do? Because he's only one, you take up the 10 neighbors who just bought brand new homes that paid, $900,000 for development. They should have done their research on before they bought their homes, and then now I think Tingsboro is actually spending over $1 million on the homes that used to be the golf course.
I know. Yes, they are.
Yeah, that's
Just getting back
And
to
they're
the
side
audience.
by side. I don't understand it.
This guy's asking about the Riley School still. Didn't the city put the playground where the courts were? I don't know anything about the Riley School spot up in Belvedere. And Eric, you can't know anything.
I thought the courts were further over than where the playground is, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the thing is, we move into a setting, then we complain about the setting that we purchased a home in, and you have to do your research around the area, because if you came to me and I was on the city council and you're complaining about a basketball court that was there for 60 years and you just moved in 2 years ago and now you're complaining about it, you have to understand your
we didn't
environment.
have on South Street. We didn't have the problem until the city installed lights.
Right.
And the lights stayed on all night because the people in security at the Bishop Markham Now they call it the South Common Village. The Bishop Markham wanted the lights on for security. And the kids, they like playing basketball. And I remember being 18 and 21 years old. I'm not going to bed I'm not going to go home until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll go play basketball with my friends. And that's what they did. And the city, instead of enforcing the ordinance, the noise ordinance, just let it flounder around until they ended up getting rid of the basketball courts.
Yeah, the simple thing is just put the lights on a timer and shut them off and tell the apartments, we're not putting them on. You want lights, put them on your place.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we cross over a lot into areas because the city is trying to appease certain people rather than the whole. And it ends up into a very messy place.
Well, I guess you're going to see a lot of changes in this area anyway, so.
Yeah, and we're going to see it all throughout the city because we're a social service city. We're getting funding from the state that brings low income, and we're trying to drive a certain way in housing. And at the end of the day, how do we create businesses that are going to support the amount of housing that's coming here to support the residents? The MBTA Communities Act is good, where you get to take the train and everything to the place you're going, but what if the train doesn't stop at a business that you actually work for? And we're watching government try to put a tax on people if you drive over a certain amount of mileage in your vehicle. Well, I can only afford the city of Lowell, and I have to drive to my work, or my work requires me to drive, and I think it's just another ridiculous overreach of government into your pocket. I don't understand where this is coming from, but you're going to dial people out of jobs, because if I'm right on the edge and now you're going to tax me to get to my job, why am I going to work?
Wow.
You look at a lot of the paving people, or the union people who don't have agreements with their communities they can work within. They have to drive to places every day, to Boston, to other areas, wherever that project is. So I think that they really have to look at this and just dial it in and say, we can't do this in our state.
I would hope not. I would hope not, because it isn't. I don't think it's a something. I mean, when you're younger, I guess you enjoy working in the city, but the average person doesn't particularly enjoy the commute. They're not doing it because that's their dream job.
I would love to see these politicians' travel expenses and the mileage they put on their vehicles before they take these votes.
Yeah.
Because, if you're going to do that to the average person, we should look at what you're doing too.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. They'll probably have an exemption for municipal employees who have to drive to.
Of course they do. They have special rules and regulations for them. Special insurance, special everything.
Eric, if you could re-explain why the Heinz spot is, and that's at the corner of South Highland and Gorham Street. Can you explain how the city allowed that to happen with only 13 parking spaces? The audience is asking that question again.
The city has no say over it because the city actually accepted the MBTA Communities program based off of what we were told was that if we didn't accept it, we wouldn't get certain state grants. And we're seeing communities get cut out of them, like Tewksbury. And we're watching that each one of these programs mean a lot to our school system in other areas. So the 13 number was something that came from the builder. They didn't have to put in any spots per the MBTA in the acceptance of what DPD put before us.
Well, Mark Kratman's health is coming back, so hopefully we'll have him in soon to explain the railroad track idea, Tewksbury's angle on it.
Yeah.
On the MBTA, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, that whole thing is.
It's an overreaching government.
Well,
Of course it is. We don't have public transportation.
Chancellor doesn't want poor people in their town. Drake doesn't want people into it. And it's all about keep the poor out of our town. That's what it's all about.
That's why Lowell gets the amount of money they get from the state, because they want the poor people in the big cities. And if you look at Drake, Tingsboro, Chelmsford, all of those communities do not get the offset that we get for our school system.
Don't.
And it's really harming their school system. If you look at the numbers in Tingsboro alone for their school system and how they've driven down because people are now sending their children to private schools because they don't feel as though the state's giving them enough money to support the school system.
Well, in law,
that
what are we
needs
getting,
to have.
$17,000 per student now, or $18,000 per student?
Roughly.
Crazy money. For a kindergarten or a high schooler, $18,000 a year for your education?
I
And
think
nobody stays back.
I think it should be loaded up in pre-K. to
As
fourth
the
grade.
mayor of this school committee, what are you gonna do about, what are your thoughts about nobody stays back in Lowell? And we don't care, you don't have to read, you're going to grade 5.
Yeah, again, the system's failing us, right? If we're not holding people accountable to the
Can
standards.
you imagine you paid 18 grand to fix your car, and you go to pick it up and it won't start and the tires are flat? See?
I think there's advancements that go on, and that's why we have to do better at evaluating pre-K to fourth grade. And if we can do that, I think we're going to see a success rate that we don't have to worry about 5 through 12 in the advancements. That's where the rubber hits the road is pre-K. We should have a full day pre-K for all the kids in the city. That's the development piece, and at some point we have to teach these parents. There's a lot of parents who are not capable of doing homework with their students today. And you take me, I have an engineering degree. When my son used to come home and say, "Here, Dad, can you help me with this problem?" And I'd look at it and I'd write it down, here's the answer. "Dad, they don't teach us that way." I go, "What do you mean? That's the answer. This is mathematics. This is the answer." And so he went into his 8th grade teacher at the time and handed in his paperwork, and he understood the way that I taught him. And the teacher gave him, mark down here, 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 and here, and said, "This isn't the way you do it." So I went to the teacher and I said, "Okay, so you have one way. You're trying to teach this kid one way in life. There's only one way to get to that answer. What are you really doing for this child?" I said, "I have an engineering degree. You don't." And we went back and forth, and at the end of the day, the person said, "This is the way that they want us to teach you." And I said, "Well, this kid is not going to learn this way."
Well, there's a
If you
simple
wanna grade
solution,
the answer,
Eric,
grade
simple
the answer.
solution for all this stuff is, where's the YouTube on this? The kid doesn't get it? Put him or her in front of a YouTube and let the kid practice on YouTube.
No, but if he gets it, it's just a different way of getting to the answer.
Well, it's like if I want to go to Lawrence and I want to cut through your backyard to get through Lawrence, and that's because that's the way I've always gone. And the state says, no, you got to take the highway. Well, I like driving through Linda's backyard.
At the
Tough
end of the
cookie, you
day-
got to take the highway.
At the end of the day, he became a math teacher. So you show somebody there's different routes to get to the same place. And if the bridge is out here and you can't get across it, you're failing this piece. I still can get around this way and get to the answer. And it was a faster way and more understandable.
I can remember back in St. Peter's School, the nuns were puzzled as, show us your work. Show us your, and I was using algebra to get my answers.
Mm-hmm.
And the nun said, where did you learn that? And I said, I didn't. That's just how I do it.
Yeah, your mind thinks differently.
And so they let it go. Once she saw my work, she thought I was copying off. Because in high school was a freaking breeze. I used to just give the test to the girl sitting next to me. They'd do the test for you. It was great. High school was a breeze.
So then, did you ever stay back?
2nd grade.
You did? I had, my older brother had an opportunity to skip a grade. So, but my mother and father said he's too young already, that's not happening. So, but at that time, they were getting children who were able to skip a grade if you were smart.
And what's he doing now for a job?
Verizon.
Okay. Went on a good road.
He could have went to Phillips Academy and turned it down to go to Greater Lowell Tech.
Well,
He was happy. My father was not. My mother was the one who was more of the balanced piece in there and said, if that's the way he wants to learn, then he's going to learn that
In
way.
my little household, my mother wanted me to go to Keith Academy, where my father graduated from. And I wanted to go to Lowell High, where the girls were. Simple thing, I just flunked Keith's test.
Is that your excuse?
No, that's what I did. I flunked Keith's test. Went to Lowell High, where the girls were.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a simple solution to a person's life and how you're going to get to the end point, but
You find your own way.
Yeah.
yeah.
As long as you're a kind person, you work hard, and people will and it's not necessarily the people around you that will give you the opportunity. Sometimes strangers give you more opportunity than the people who know you.
Okay, so I'm not going to wait till 7 o'clock to beat you up yet, but what are the chances that we're going to have the parking ticket givers go home at 4 o'clock like they have since I was a little boy? Why are we going to keep? Right now, our manager and our greedy city council pays a parking meter attendant to give tickets till 8 p.m. Are you going to look to get rid of that?
No.
I understand. So I can continue to call you guys the greedy city council. I like that one.
Well, we have to offset expenses, and if people...
Well, stop creating them.
Should we stop
Ask your
writing
manager-
tickets at 4 p.m. because John wants to get to Boston quicker?
Ask your manager, how many people work for the city of Lowell who make over $100,000 a year?
I can count that. I can just grab the budget and I can tell you that next
Just
time.
ask the manager, how many people work for the city of Lowell who make over $100,000 a year?
Yeah, I mean, today $100,000. You know, it's like saying a millionaire is still a millionaire today. It's really not.
Oh, it's
You
not anymore?
understand.
Okay. For the average wage in the city, I think, is $40,000 a year.
In the city,
Yeah.
It's a social service city, so your numbers being skewed by the low end and pulled down. Yes.
So we're a poor city.
Well, aren't all cities?
So it's a fair question to ask how many city employees make over $100,000 a year. And the next question will be like, do they live in Westford? Do they live in Barica? Do they live in Pelham?
Do you want to fill the jobs with people who are competent, or do you want to fill the jobs with just
I want to fill
it?
it. We have 2 colleges in Lowell. We have a ton of wicked smart people who live in Lowell that are completely overlooked. And we have 2 colleges here.
No, you didn't say anything about the price. A college student when I was there
Give the
was
$100,000
getting
to a
$90,000
Lowellian.
as an engineer to leave there. So there's no way you're going to pull them in and cut a job down to 60 and say, hey, will you take our job because we're Lowell? It's just, when you have to look at the market and balance
I'm not
it at
saying
the
cut
same
the job
time.
to 60. I'm saying give the $100,000 a year job to a Lowellian.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and again, they have to be a qualified person. And I'm not saying everyone who's hired is qualified. I'm not saying
They're
anything
just
like
connected. In Lowell, we're just connected.
that. In some cases. Yeah. If we're going to rule the whole by, yeah.
So the parking's going to stay the way it is. That's not going to change. And
The
we're gonna
parking
keep.
did change. So it used to be 4 and it changed to 8. It did change.
Oh, the parking meters.
It
Yeah,
just
that's
didn't
not going to
change.
change.
It didn't
And we're
change
go-
to the way that
and we're
you
gonna
wanted
keep-
it to change.
And when we find a half acre of property, we're going to put up a 70-story skyscraper with no parking. That's going to still continue.
Yeah, it's going to get. There's going to be a lot
It's
more.
going to get
going on with
worse.
that. Yeah, and you know, when you look at the Hamilton Canal District, I disagreed with the sale of the Lapoli parcel.
Can you believe what Lepoli's selling at the beach and they're buying it?
John, you know, and he couldn't do a 13
They should call a Lowell City Council and get some sense knocked into him. This guy is less than amazing with his performance, at least in Lowell.
You know, you get the right friends, John, you'll get the right things.
He's a nice guy to talk to. I like Sal personally, but as far as I don't believe his fairy tales.
If you go into a car dealership, they're all nice. It's the payment you leave with that's the problem.
Do you know what the average car payment is in the United States?
I would bet it's probably like $700.
$747.
Wow.
The average guy driving
And it's
to work
probably 7 years.
is paying $747
That's a
for his car.
mortgage
How many
payment.
years, John? Probably 7, right? It's probably 84 months.
I don't know the years, but I mean, when you want to go east to get yourself a nice $120,000 Silverado, the dealership will find a way to get you that money.
Yeah, and we were on, the president was coming out with 50-year mortgages?
Yep.
50
Now,
year.
mortgage is a good idea because there's equity there. Every house increases in value. Every Silverado, not just pick it, set Ford 150, every one of those trucks goes down in value as soon as you drive it off the lot.
Yeah, most things except for your housing do that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's, I don't know how people afford it. When I was a kid, I just graduated from high school, and I just looked at the paperwork because I'm trying to find the car that I had. So you can go on these sites and use the paperwork to do it. I bought a brand new Mustang GT at that time for $12,000.
What are you
The
driving
payments-
this week? But usually you have a fancy, nice little car. What do you got now?
I have a fancy, nice little car. One that I don't really like as much as I thought I would. But I bought this vehicle, and it was $208 a month for 4 years. And now you're looking at people, what they're paying, you're like, whoa, look at this.
What did you buy for a vehicle?
I can't get out of...
A Corvette?
No.
Oh, nobody can afford a Corvette anymore.
I had a Corvette. I did have a Corvette, yes.
You did?
I didn't... I love cars, so that's my hobby. I don't drink.
He's not
I don't
going to tell
smoke.
us.
I don't do those things. It's in a garage. It's parked for the winter.
Have you ever seen the Texas sidestep? He's got his cowboy hat on.
No. I have an F-150, John. It's smaller than your, what is that?
Tahoe.
Tahoe, that beautiful one with that low number plate on it. That's
Yep, very identifiable, and it's
very identifiable.
Everybody knows it's
I can
me.
tell you the plate number, and I just saw it today. But
Yeah.
no, I have an F-150 that the kids actually lowered and put massive wheels on it, and it's supercharged, and it's in a garage for the winter right now.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Now, do you drive it in the summer?
It has 1,500 miles on it, and I've driven it.
Oh,
I've
my
had
goodness.
I've had it for a year, over a year. It's been a year and 4 months. But I've always collected cars. I had a beautiful Chevelle for 25, 26 years that was in the garage, and
That was a beauty.
I loved the car. It just sat too much, and I just never used it. The modern cars with the fuel injection and everything, you just get in, drive, and enjoy. The Shelby Mustang was a very fun, beautiful car to drive, but I got bored and sold it, which I should have never done. And when you love those things, it's just something that's a passion for you. I don't put a lot of miles on them because I'm always running to something else, and I just use the regular SUV to go to those places. But I do like cars, and I do spend money on them.
Well, now it's ridiculous what cars cost.
Yeah.
Trucks, it's more than I paid for my house, obviously.
I made a very
car
good.
is more than I paid.
I made a very good investment in this truck. It's just a regular cab truck, a regular bed. It was $43,000 new. I bought it for $40,000 brand new, and I ordered it. So, and then we upgraded the thing and put it back together. And right now, I could sell it and make about $15,000.
Now, what is it?
It's a pickup truck that Ford made that you had to order. That's the only way you could get it, and it has a Mustang motor in it and a Mustang transmission, and then they're hard to get. So I waited. I bought it at McGovern Ford, and I waited 6 months for it.
Wow.
Yeah, it came in November. I had ordered it in May. Yeah, and what happened in between was the model years were changing, but they still delivered the year that I wanted, so it was good. Anyway.
Well, I got a comment from the audience. They're not coming
I
up on that. I
digress.
can't put it on the screen. When you add a bunch of stuff to a vehicle that's not needed, then the cost will always go up. Also, they make it impossible for a backyard mechanic to do your own maintenance. Good points. Thank you for your comments.
The kids did the work. So the kids at the school did the work. They're looking for a project. We bought this. Boom, they did it all. It would be difficult for some backyard mechanics to work.
Well, my first cars, I changed the oil and did all that myself. And it wasn't unique. I mean, that's what people did.
I still would love to do that, but getting rid of the oil afterwards is such a hassle. You go down to the place, you got to give them back the oil. It's too much of a hassle for the waste oil.
Really?
So I just let
I just go to the oil
Kids do
changing place.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the oil now, you don't have to change very much, do you?
No, it's up to 5,000. Some are 8. Yeah, this one has synthetic in it, so it's a different type of oil.
Yeah.
The car tells me when to go.
What happens if you put regular oil? Can you do that?
To go back and forth between the two, no.
Oh.
You want to stick with one.
Yeah, stick with the synthetic.
Yeah. Once you go synthetic, you stick with synthetic. Usually.
It's just a slipperier oil and keep your gas mileage is better.
Yeah.
Oh.
Vehicles are going to be a challenge in the future. Like mine, I don't drive much, so it's not a...
Two things that will get your gas mileage up is maximum tire pressure in your tires and changing the oil.
Maximum tire pressure.
Yeah, if you have a basketball that's deflated, it doesn't bounce.
Yeah.
So if you have a tire that's 25 And you get the little
Oh,
light that
Lord,
says,
no, nobody does that.
yeah, they do.
Oh.
They do. And then they get a flat tire and they go, oh, I got a blowout. I knew it was low. That's why you got a blowout, honey.
Yeah.
You got to max out and it says right on the, what's the maximum tire? And the ride's a little stiffer, but when you pick up 3 miles per gallon, okay.
Be very careful when you do. If you overinflate, you'll get wear to your vehicle's tires also. So you got to go by what the manufacturer says within a couple pounds. If you overinflate, you're going to have the center wear quicker than the sides. Underinflate, you'll get the side wear. So if you can afford those $1,000, $1,200 worth of tires, because
Ooh.
tires have gone through the roof
Oh, I
in
know.
pricing.
Yeah,
Eric, I don't know why I'm not hearing you as good as I did. So push that microphone towards the TV set and grab another microphone, will you? I'll fix maybe the batteries are going sour.
Maybe he's
or something.
mumbling.
No, he's not. I'm just not hearing him as good as I was in the beginning. That's good, thank you.
Yeah, I like the fancy mics.
He's
God.
upgraded. He's got money.
Oh,
he's got capital
all the
planning in this.
time.
Well, I got a grant.
Yeah, he's got capital
I got a
planning.
federal grant from my buddy Donald Trump, so I'm all set. on equipment. Did they make your truck in the plant that Trump was yesterday? He went to the 150 plant over the weekend.
I believe it was made here. Yeah, it was assembled.
I
at
think
least here.
Ford pretty much.
It's
they're-
here, or it's
pretty much
Canada. It's one or the other. It's
Yeah.
here.
they're,
I'm gonna have to look at this window sticker now to
my
see.
son's got a Ford as well.
It's in it. I've always had good luck with Ford, but I mean, it's a preference. Some people like Dodge. Some people like Chevy. It just depends. Like
Whatever.
John buys anything. He buys all over the map.
I know.
Yeah, well,
Black is
Okay.
beautiful
black is beautiful.
as long as you keep that clean.
Well, now that they're contemplating the electric cars, so I'm out of it. I don't go to work anymore. I just go in if I have to. And my son Jack and my son Joe, they think different than me.
Yeah.
I want to see the electric cost that goes up in the home that you charge from. No one has ever really told me, is it high, is it low, is it, I don't know.
Well, do you charge it from home or do you
Yeah,
go to one of
gets
those
charged-
charging stations?
There's a charging station in Ellen's got my wife's car. She has a charging. She plugs it in her garage. And when the electrician came to do that, we put a plug down in the big garage down the back too, so we can charge down the back too.
You really are a good husband. You said it perfect. Her garage.
It is hers. It's her car. Her, yep.
Well, she
Happy
had
wife,
a very
happy life.
special parking space. She still does.
My
Yep.
wife has a hybrid Toyota RAV4, and that thing, we don't put gas in it. I think it's once a month at best. It doesn't, it never
It's
uses
amazing how
gas.
far they'll go.
It never uses gas.
Because we bought a Toyota, I don't know, it's a Toyota van. I don't know what they call the thing. But you can go like 400 miles in that car on a tank
Oh, yeah.
of gas.
Yeah.
It's crazy how far you can go.
Yeah, and we don't have to charge it either, so I'm like,
Well, it's
wow,
electric.
why would anyone not?
It's built-in electric.
Yeah.
A hybrid.
It's an amazing vehicle. When I drive it, I'm like, wow, this thing has a lot of pep. It doesn't have an issue with it, and it just drives. And it was the best vehicle we've ever bought for the money and saving of gas.
I agree.
Well, cars today have gotten so crazy.
I
So,
just like to look
Linda,
at
we
them and
already
wash
talked
it.
for the other break, so you can welcome people to City Life now.
Oh,
We didn't take a break. Did you?
we didn't take a break. We're moving right along. Welcome to City Life. We're on our second hour for those that are just tuning in. And I have the mayor, Mayor Erik Gitschier, the new mayor, new term. And we were talking all about taxes and what was going on in the city and earlier. So it's
Our
going to
school
be.
system, our taxes, our roads, and the infrastructure, our concerns with the state bringing in the money that we once had. Are we going to see the same amount of money? I got invited to the State of the State, which is next week. I want to say it's the 22nd and we'll be in Boston for that. So that'll be I've never been, so it'll be very
Oh.
interesting to watch.
Yeah.
I think that we have challenges in what are the goals of the administration at the State House to come back to us. I think we need to dial that in. We need to have conversations. I'm still trying to see if we can get help from Our state senator, once they're elected, will ask them to see if they can help us offset some of the high school cost that is there because of the lack of investigation prior to the MSBA submittal, which is the mass building.
So now you want me to pay for it?
I do. I do. Anytime I can reach into the other community's pockets, I'm definitely gonna, because you send all your social services to my community. So I think it's payback. As we do at Greater Lowell, we send all our kids to your community. So
Well,
it's,
you know what? I found a new social security office up in Nashua. It's very easy and very accessible.
Yeah,
That's a wonderful one up there.
that's because no one wants to work in New Hampshire. They come to Mass, and then they run back there with our money.
No, if you have to go
You
to
see it
Lowell
every
Social
day.
Security, you gotta pay to park. You gotta pay to park at the Nashua one?
Where? The
The
No.
Social Security office.
no.
They have their own parking lot.
Yeah, they have a parking lot.
We're gonna have to go to the federal
I
government
don't
and
have
make
to
them
pay.
buy a parking
I
lot in
put-
downtown.
It's right there at Exit 7. It's wonderful. It's a brand new building. It's lovely. No,
It's a
everybody's
lovely
ve-
spot. I've been
And you
down
know
it.
what? The people are really nice to you.
Up in New Hampshire, they're all nice.
I wonder if the federal government will pitch in as much money as they paid there and buy a parking garage, and you guys can park for free over there. The federal government can also pay for parking spots within there for their Social Security too. Imagine if they really put up their money.
Oh.
I'm sure they paid plenty of money for
Who
the
would
spot
want-
that they built that nice Social Security office in.
The courthouse is right across the street, and it got done in record time.
No,
Didn't take
no,
15
no.
years.
Where? In Nashua? No. The courthouse is downtown.
Maybe it's Manchester. Sorry,
Yeah.
must have been Manchester.
Yeah,
downtown
now, I
Nashua-
didn't even know Nashua had a social security.
In downtown Nashua, don't they have parking meters? At least I was there and
Yes.
had to pay to go into.
Yes. And they have been,
Yeah.
by the way,
I just-
there in Manchester, you have to feed the meter, I think, till 7 or 8.
Yeah, same as Lowell.
Always.
Yeah, same
And
as
way
Lowell.
back.
Yeah,
I
can you
remember.
imagine? And we gave you that benefit for how many years until just recently? I wonder if you went to Boston and you didn't feed that meter till 8, what would happen?
Oh.
And I know when I went to
Possibly.
Boston, I paid $50 to park, and it was 7 o'clock at night, and we were leaving in 3 hours. All we did was we made reservations to eat, and then
Cheaper to go, just Uber on down.
it cost me, I want to say like $400 to take someone out to eat down there.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, "Ooh, I'm staying
Well,
in Lowell."
When I turned 80, we went to the Bruins game on his birthday, and the tickets were like $3.60 or something. But Ticketron, it was like 6 something. That's awful.
Did you mortgage your house?
Yeah, I did. It was outrageous, and then I just
You
Ubered
could have
on-
went to
Ubered
UMass
on
Lowell.
down.
You could have went to a nice UMass Lowell game and,
Yes.
and saw probably the same quality of
Yes,
hockey.
some of the
Except
old
it doesn't
players.
wear the same jersey. That's
No,
all.
no. But
You
it
know,
was very exciting.
I do like the. I like the youth sporting events. I like going to watch them because I think that that's where you get all the emotion and everything else.
More competitive, yes. It's raw. It's wonderful. I've always liked college football, college hockey.
It's
And
always
we're
fun.
very lucky around here with the college hockey. You
It's
see
always
the
fun when
best.
you see the two schools play against each other, and
The
you see
bean
all
pot.
the parents.
The best bang for your buck is the bean pot in
Yeah,
Boston.
I just think that when you look at pro sports, the pricing that they're getting for
Oh, it's
things
ridiculous.
is out of control. And the money, like Bregman went to the Cubs for 5 years, 175 million. He turned down 165 million in Boston, which is wild to think.
2 issues for the audience. The state mandates that if you are building a project in Drake, you have to have it wired for electric charges for vehicles.
Oh, my.
Okay, every building is wired for electricity, so I don't understand what the issue is there, but it's okay. With the state senate race, are you supporting any candidate?
Oh, I am.
Who?
Rodney.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Mayor?
I am. I'm a vocational person. So when they started looking at the vocational and going to this lottery system, it bothered me that certain representatives didn't reach out to the school and ask them what their thoughts were, or to the school committee and ask them what their thoughts were. And I think that that's a legislative piece that should be in any piece of legislation that goes forward. You should reach out to the people that it affects, and that didn't happen. And so I have chosen to support Rodney Elliott.
Okay, thank you for your
Yeah.
answer.
He's been pretty active.
I think he reaches out when there's issues that are going to affect certain people. He actually comes across and asks, "What will this affect? How does this work? What is the planning that goes on?" I think that our school is going to have a very, very challenging time with that, and there are other reasons, but when you look at that, I think that is a major driver. Vocational education is not getting the bandwidth that it should. We were told by a governor that she was going to do vocational, and her idea of offering vocational education is putting it in academia, into a regular traditional, which doesn't have the setting for it. Okay, you can do a culinary in there. Okay, you can build a kitchen, but we need to expand our plumbing, electrical, HVAC. There's 23 programs out there. We just built a vet tech building, and we need those funds to be able to offer these students the biggest quality bang for their dollar in education. The problem with vocational settings right now is there's only a small market for those educational teachers. And now that you're branding them out, you're watering down that amount, and you're seeing certain teachers are jumping from one school to the other to the other. It's the same applicant pool.
Really?
Yeah, they're just jumping from one place to the other for a few dollars here and there, or maybe commute or whatever it is. But you're having a hard time getting tradespeople in when the market is the way it is. And I think people have to really take a look at that. What's the driver? I believe college is just an expanded trade school. I believe you're picking a subject that you're going to work in a trade for the rest of your life, whether it's accountant, engineering, psychology, sociology. They're all trades. They're all defined.
Well, now, people used to actually go and study liberal arts. You can't afford to study liberal arts.
You're going to pay $180,000 to do liberal arts.
To philosophize.
Yeah, when you're looking at it, I think the average person is going out of there every year with $25,000 to $30,000. That's what it's costing for the bachelor's degree programs. Whether you're going off to Clark University or to Babson or whatever, you're looking at, they offset it most times with, you're basically getting grant monies or something like that to offset. They're giving you like $25,000 so they can bring it down to $30,000 range. These kids are leaving college with more debt than most of us paid for our homes. And then they're on 30-year debts at 9 to 10%. The government is giving it to these kids so bad. I'm not saying waive what they have to pay. What I'm saying is they should control the percentage rate that these kids are paying. Because these kids have no idea the debt that they're getting into at 9, 10%. And if it was down to, say, the 2, 3% on the loan, then it's manageable. But if you're going out with $120,000 debt, you're talking about $1,000 a month for 30 years.
Well, we've been doing this for a long time, since World War II ended, that we've been subsidizing the education in the United States of America. And now, what parent out there would lend their kid, their 18-year-old son or daughter, $40,000? Here's $40,000, honey. Pay me back when you get older.
We knew one.
Well, I don't look at it as lending your child money. It's their inheritance they're getting up front while you're living.
Yeah.
That's what they're getting. They're getting your money up front, and it's just their inheritance going to
Do you think
them.
they're going to pay you back when you lend your kid some money? You're going to get that
No,
money?
I'm saying it's your inheritance. They're not going to pay it back when you're gone either. So it's just you're basically
So the federal
saying,
government just blindly lets these kids borrow as much money as they want
Right.
for their education.
Yeah.
And it's something that's in Lori Trahan's hands that she just wants to look the other way.
Yeah,
So
and
Eric,
they
being the king of the school committee, how do you feel about personal finance, teaching that in schools, making it mandatory?
I wish I had control over that with DESE, and the problem is DESE overreaches in everything, which is the Department of Education. They overreach in everything, and it's more of the academia world, people who are put in there are academic people, and at the end of the day, they're not thinking about those things. When you look at the simple thing of finance, that can save people a ton of money.
Everybody has to know personal finance.
It just makes too much sense. And you rely on your parents, and the same people who are feeling that you say should stay back are relying on the same parents who can't help them with their homework. And it's a sad thing. That's why the tutor system has built up so much in our community, because you need tutors to help these kids. And people are talking, okay, let's cut tutors, let's cut this one, let's cut that one. They don't need this, they don't need that. Well, you don't understand a school system. This school system has the most challenges of any in the state. Maybe Boston might have a little bit more, but Boston's amount of money that they have down there is a lot more than the
Boston
city
can
of
fail on the same amount of money. The fact that nobody stays back in Lowell, or pretty much anywhere, I think is a crime. And not teaching a personal finance, I'm going to keep hopping on that.
I think the stay back piece is
I'm gone.
interesting, because they shift these kids who should have stayed back into summer school, which they didn't have when I was a kid. So they shift them to summer school, and they spend their 3, 4, 5 weeks in summer school trying to get to that level, at least where I see it. And I think that's even tougher, because you're shifting a kid out of developing outside because of the challenges within the academic area that we need to do better. We need to understand that not every parent can go home, they can go home to and have the help that I had as a child, or my child had as a child. So that some people are just involved in their own life, and the child will always suffer. We all need that nice. You watch people in the projects now, or the Lowell housing. They have better vehicles than we have, and you're looking, and they have nice phones and everything, but the settings are. The goals of the parents are not aligned with society's goals in some ways. And people, we need to understand, how do we get to them and say that, your investment is your child. It's nothing in this world but your children. That's your major investment.
Yeah, but they see that goal, that college, it's out of their control. They can't possibly reach it.
From Sam Meese, trade school is very important. I have always been a proponent of trade school. College is not for everybody.
Well, and I agree with Sam. When you look at a lot of it, college is a trade. It's just you're paying for that trade. Things that you can learn in the real world, you're learning in college. And a lot of the people in the college professors, they make good money.
They make more than they should in most cases.
Who pays for that? We do as a society. So,
But
when
with
you're
what
reining
that
in
get
money-
out of control.
Yeah, how many people at the university make over $100,000, John?
Oh, I asked, remember going to the Wayback Machine, I asked that question, I think I got 12 pages
Yeah.
back 20 years ago.
Yeah, and again, it costs. I'm sorry, it costs them a lot of money for the same. That's all right, Linda.
It's taxpayer money.
It costs them a lot of money for the same thing.
Like right now, we have the free school in Lowell, it's called the, Middlesex. It's free.
Right.
You don't have to pay to go there anymore. It's not free. It's completely taxpayer funded. It's not free.
I had that conversation with a student. The student said, I said, where's so-and-so going to college? She said, she's going for free to Middlesex. I said, oh, really? Where are you going? And she said, St. A's. I said, oh, wow, that's nice that you're going to pay for 2 college degrees. She goes, what are you talking about? I go, hers isn't free. When you go to work every day and you see state and federal taxes, understand that you're paying for that program. And she said, I'm paying for her college? I said, who do you think's paying for it? Nothing in the world is free. Somebody's paying for it. So when we look at these costs, we have to put people in there who are serious to drive them down. And I agree with you, John, that the level of commitment, if you're seeing an outcome, then you pay the price. But are you seeing that outcome, that desired outcome? The challenges in the Lowell school system are very different than the Tingsboro school system. And they're extremely different. From the English language learners to the immigration piece. And people love to kick immigration because it's an easy thing, because, at the end of the day, immigrants push us to be better in life. They come in with a hunger, some and probably most. Like, you look at the Cambodian community, when they came to this country, especially in the city of Lowell, they worked.
Yeah.
They pushed us to be better. If you weren't going to work, they were going to hire someone who was going to work, and they worked. And they worked for everything they have. when you look at us, sometimes we get complacent if there's no challenge. It's like, the New England Patriots when they fell apart. They
Yeah.
were complacent. We're supposed to be champions. And they fell apart until they realized, okay, this competition, we got to move forward. And everything in life, if you don't have competition, you will get complacent and you'll get less of a product. And now we're starting to realize that, and we need to continue down that path. Challenge people to be better. And I think if we do challenge people, you'll get a better product. A lot of people don't like being challenged because that's my friend you're challenging. That's my so-and-so you're challenging. Well, what's the outcome that you desire? Do you desire a better community? Do you desire a community run by your friends that, you're not getting what you should for your money? And I think that those are the questions that you have to answer as a voter and as a community.
But in fairness to the voter, and I don't give them too much credit because they don't even bother to vote, but when the governor ran, and one of her platforms was for the trade schools and supporting trade schools, and I think the impression of everybody was that we were going to get more trade schools because, again, like he said, college isn't for everyone, and it wasn't providing the result that they expected or needed. And now look at the trades. I mean, they're getting top dollar.
I hate to say this to people, but if you think that a trade school isn't for everybody, you're missing out. Because right now, but even in the trade school brings you to amazing places in college.
Oh, yeah.
In the last few years, Greater Lowell Tech Center, Girl to West Point, MIT, Brown, Harvard. Can you imagine that out of a trade school? In addition to that, all of these people learn to trade.
Yeah.
They can go do certain things. And when you look, you say, wow, in the medical field over there, the trade that goes on. See, people say that, an RN is not a trade. Well, it is a trade.
Oh.
It's a learned trade at Greater Lowell. They push for the medical students and to do that. The welding students, you look at the unions that they're going to and the things that they're building, and you take like the electricians and the unions that they're going to. When I'm walking out at 6:30, they're walking in to do their hours in the classroom. And the majority of students that are walking in are former graduates of the school trying to get their licenses, a journeyman or their masters. And so you have to have an aptitude to understand and learn even though you're in a trade. People still go back to when I was a kid. They think the dumb kids went out there. This is where people go, and there's still that stigma, and it's changed a lot in this world because of our generation that I went to school with actually worked, they learned, and they moved on. And you're looking at a lot of them, extremely successful business people. They all got their master electrician's licenses, their plumbing licenses, their hairdressing licenses. When you start looking at all of the things in the community, my hairdresser graduated from Greater Lowell. She's been cutting my hair since I was 14. And these are the things that our society sees. And when people are being derogatory towards the trades, you're talking to the people who are actually keeping everything afloat. My doctor had said to me, and I think I've said this here before, he said I should have went to school to become a plumber. And I looked at him and started laughing because I grew up with him. And I looked at him and started laughing. He goes, do you know the plumber came to my house the other day? He was there 45 minutes and charged me $475. I said, yeah, you should have became a plumber. Yeah. I go, but you charged me the same.
Well, I just, in the news this morning, the New Hampshire news, I saw that the vocational college in Manchester, they built a plane. They're just bringing it out to have it tested and see that.
I think Greater Lawrence just came out with an aviation shop.
It's just quite amazing. Yeah. And they must be very proud of themselves, and they'll go on to be very successful.
The object of a trade school is to make you think too.
Yeah.
You look at some of the devices in front of us. How do they work? How do you get there? Are you just going to go off to college and not understand and just have something provided to you? And I think that that's what they do there, is they make you think on the other side of the mind is how does something work? How do you get from here to there? And I think the trades are absolutely needed. We complain about the roads. Well, tradespeople do that. We complain about, the underground facilities. Tradespeople do that. Everything we complain about, a tradesperson is needed. So except, as John will put it, the finance stuff, those are all tradespeople. They went off to college and they're in a trade. Academia is absolutely needed. How does Greater Lowell's scores supersede Lowell's scores by so
It's
much?
embarrassing.
In Tingsboro, they're right with Tingsboro right now, and they learn every other week
Yeah.
in the academic end. Because the mind isn't something that's set in one little piece. Everything is a learning process and makes the mind develop, whether it's in the trades, whether it's in academia. You're still developing a mind to think in a certain direction, in a certain way. You're training it. And I think to get away and take that deep breath out of academia and be able to go into a trade, I needed that deep breath. I couldn't go to school every day all the way through the year in academia. I needed the deep breath of a trade and go in and go, all right. I don't have to think about pronouns and adjectives. I can go into and work on a machine or pull a car apart. And I think that's some people need that. And it's showing more and more.
Maybe if more people had it, they wouldn't be going to shrink so much.
Maybe, but I think society's put such strong demands on a person that to be successful because of all the social media and everything else. And even when we were kids, you saw it, that, if your father and mother were extremely successful, there's a lot of pressure on you to remain that way and fall in line. And I think that there's so many pressures that these kids see. Last night we had a exhibit at City Hall on mental health, and people shared their stories on posters. And I think the stigma around the mental health issue needs to come out. It needs to show people that it's okay to have issues and try to work on them. But most people keep that inside. It's like the old days when nothing left the house.
Yeah.
And you remember that. What happens in this house stays in this house. Nothing leaves this house.
Well, and depression is no different than high blood pressure.
I got announcements to do.
Oh, okay.
So this is going to take about 3 or 4 minutes. Today at the Lowell Senior Center is proud to put out lunch and breakfast 7 days a week. So today is the 14th of January. So fried chicken with roasted potatoes. Get over there around 10:30. Go in and see the friendly Tara. She's usually sitting at the door. Give you $2, and if you don't have the $2, well, she'll give you a ticket. You don't have to pay if you don't have the money. Rodney Elliott's having a party. Sorry, I got one of those throats this morning. Can meet and greet the Latino community at the Tijuana Grill, January 15th, 5:30 to 7 p.m. at 45 Market Street in downtown Lowell. The Golden Gloves. Golden Gloves looking for some sponsors.
Oh, my.
So if you want to help them out, great time to be had. The Golden Gloves is going on now every week until, I think it's March. And, here it is. Going on until March 5th. The Golden Gloves is, slide this over. It wants to do it for me. Okay. There's a QR code. So you can take your fancy phone out of your pocket, put it in camera mode, and go on this thing here. It gives you a lot more information about this. But every Thursday, January 8th to March 5th, doors open at 6. Bring your grandkid down there. Just one kid at a time. It's crowded, rowdy, and it's a lot of fun. So consider going down to the Golden Gloves. Moving right along, out in Charming Chelmsford, today's the 14th. If you have a meal ticket, you can go out there. You got a reserve out there. So if you don't have a meal ticket, just call them up and see if you can get in today. But you're supposed to have, you have to pre-register. Today they're having chicken pot pie, buttermilk biscuits, mixed, no, that's next week. Shepherd's pie is this week. Oh, my favorite. I love that. Sorry, I'll be missing that. Moving right along, Tewksbury and Drake, same thing, you got to have a reservation. And but today they're having sliced turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, and it's $2. How can you beat that? And what else we got? Oh, Sam Meese is having a party. Sam Meese for State Senate campaign kickoff fundraiser. That's tomorrow.
Yeah?
And January 15th, 5 to 8 p.m. at the Athenian Corner. And he's got a QR code. If you take your fancy phone out of your pocket and you zero the camera in on this little box, it'll bring you to a website. You can send him some money. I think that's my last announcement. So back over to you, Lynn. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, that election is in a few weeks.
Yes, it is.
February 3rd.
Jeez.
It's
I keep thinking-
that's a tough election when you go that fast into it. And,
I know, and in winter, it's,
it's money. You got to have a lot of money to get to the mailers, to get to the doors. It's an expensive race to run right now.
I
Linda.
think so.
That microphone to your left,
My mic?
your left. Give that to Eric.
Okay.
Is this one not working too?
That one, well, the batteries, I put them all in the same day and that battery's died. So just
Oh.
give him that one. I'll change the batteries after
There
the
we
show.
go. Okay.
You can pick it up and hand it to him.
All right. Are we sharing one?
Beautiful. No, you're good.
Mine was good?
Yours is good.
Oh. I'm sorry.
So you're good to go. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Here we are. We're back online.
So Eric, we're going to run out of time. We got 27 past, but what are your short-term goals being the mayor? I know that the mayor thing came to you kind of surprised, but I'm sure everybody wants to be mayor, including me and Linda. So you've thought about it a little bit. Short-term, what are your goals?
I mean, there's two sides, right? You have the school side and also the city side that you have an opportunity to represent.
So let's start off with the school side, the boring side.
The school side, I'd love to see the MCAS scores go up, but obviously MCAS is going away. But our scoring go up, and we come to an area where we can try to get the pre-K developed, where we can maybe get pre-K full-time offered to all residents for their students, for their children. I think that's an important piece for the school side. When you look at the city side, the front-runner city is exciting. You want to make sure that continues in the path that it has, and we've lined it up so that we can do that. You want to see the development happen. In the city, we have to look at our taxes. We have to start saying, okay, is everything that we have necessary, or are we going to have to look back? We want to lobby the state for more funding in order to keep all of our programs in place and our capital planning going. We need a facilities department. We need to put that together so that we have the proper learning environment for the students. You should not be opening the windows at the Bailey School in the wintertime and kids dressing in T-shirts because it's so hot in there that the learning environment now is compromised. So there's a lot of things. The high school project, when you want to make sure that comes to completion, but not only completion, but everything that was outlined in it comes to the quality that we all expect and deserve for the money that we're paying. There's a lot of things. The water department, we look at that department, we want to make sure that we are cutting out the contractor and becoming more efficient with our city employees over there. We start to maintain our parks the way it is, our downtown, make sure it gets cleaned up. We got to get businesses down there and try to get businesses moving. So I think there is a lot that are moving pieces, and 2 years seems like a long time, but it's really a short, quick burst into trying to get everybody to work together and trying to bring pieces of our city back in a direction that is in favor of the taxpayer.
So how stable do you think Liam Skinner's position is? Is he on his way out the door? Is he stable? What are your thoughts as mayor?
I haven't asked anybody that question. That's the first time I've heard of either way. I would hope that it's stable because we
Well,
really
don't forget
need...
Mr. Golden's coming up shortly, but that's okay. He's next.
What's that mean?
I'm going to ask you how stable he is.
Oh, okay. I hope that we have stability in our education system. I hope we give people an opportunity to actually see outcomes, because when you start a process in government, and especially our school system, there's not an immediate gratification. It's not something that you just plant a seed, you got a full mature tree. I think we have to give people an opportunity to see where we're going. What is the direction? Are we seeing results? What are your goals? Do they align with our community? And so far, what I've seen out of the school department has been success, and I'm hoping that we can continue in that direction of watching it peak and get better, and we become the place that people want to look at to perform in their areas. And if we can do that as an inner city, then we've done something special.
How about Mr. Golden? How stable do you think he is in his position?
Well, I think he's extremely stable. I don't think he has a contract that's, 3.5 more years?
So is there any performance clause in that contract? But can he just not go to meetings anymore and just hang in his office?
Well, I think there's performance, you have to meet the requirements of the body. But when you look at the city side, there's going to be some challenges. There's no more opera money. So now we got to actually make decisions, and the high school's coming on at the same time. So you're looking at a head-on collision. You lost your funding source of the opera, and now you're putting on more debt from the high school project all at the same time as you're trying to manage through some times that we need more out of government to create the quality of life that we want. So I think he's the right person for the job.
I understand. I'm going to tackle these text messages, then we'll give it back over to Linda. And it says, most snowflake kids nowadays would go home and complain to mommy when they get yelled at on a construction site. Respectfully, kids have more stuff than we ever had. The one difference is we had parents who held us accountable for our actions. What about pot shop on Roger Street? Any plans to ease that congestion? Moving right along here. Democratic reps are voting for all the free policies and the state tax hikes. College is good for some people. Maybe if the kids for it, maybe if the kid pays for it instead of the parents, that maybe there'd be more responsibility and more likely to finish. Most snowflake kids are nowadays would go home and complain to mommy. Okay, that's a repeat. Sam Lee says, Linda, what policies at the state level of Rodney Elliott as a Republican? That's a question for another day, Sam. Thanks. Back to you, Linda.
So I think this generation gets a real bad rap. When people are calling people snowflakes and this and that, you haven't worked around them. I get to work around these kids.
Yeah.
I watch them go off. I think, when you see one or two, and, I get our generation was the bulk generation. We ran through walls. We built everything. We didn't build anything in my generation. Everything my generation lives on was built by World War II people. World War II is the one that sacrificed. We can say all we want about everything we want. Go look at the bridges, look at their numbers. Yes, they're starting to replace them here and there and everywhere. Snowflake generation, I think they're really getting a bad rap. And it's us as parents that have put them to whatever the negative piece is that we're saying about them. I know I get to work with them. I have 5 kids after school who work as hard as any of my custodial staff. They go out and they do their job. They mop the floors. They clean the bathrooms. They do every single piece, and there's no complaints. And the teachers and everyone else thank them for it. There's no complaints. Summertime, we move out every single classroom in that building. We strip all the floors. We clean top to bottom every room. Those kids do that. Without them, we couldn't do it. There's no complaints. They go to work. They do it. And when I look at people saying things, it's about the person who's holding people accountable at the job site. They're not going to get yelled at and run away. I promise you that. You watched, yes, in the education system, it's lighter than it was when we were there. But still, kids have emotion. They have wants in life. Nobody wants to live on their parents and say that I live at home, this and that. They want the same things you want. We just drove up the inflation is so high that they can't afford.
Yeah.
That was our generation, not theirs. They have to live at home because they can't afford. At 23 years old, I bought a home with my wife. And, we were lucky enough, fortunate enough to have 2 good jobs, and we went to work. Today, those jobs are wanted by 60, 65-year-old people. They're taking the jobs that used to be for the kids, whether it's McDonald's or Burger King or something. Then we call them snowflakes because they don't have jobs. Well, if society did it right, shouldn't our elderly people have less taxes? Shouldn't they be able to retire off and not have to have 2 and 3 jobs and keep working? And then we call the kids snowflakes because the owner of the business is like, well, I want to make sure that the elderly are taken care of too.
No, the elderly work. And
Yeah,
they come
they
in.
work.
They
some
come
of the
in.
kids,
The kids aren't coming. They don't show up.
the
The
kids
kids
that I
don't
have
apply.
show up every
Yeah.
single day.
The kids don't apply for a job. And the
They're
elderly,
getting rooted out. They're getting rooted out. And a lot of times when you look at it, the elderly have a performance history on their resume. These kids are 15, 16, 17 years old looking for jobs. I had a paper route. I could do that stuff. You can't deliver papers anymore. You can't even get a start. The hardest thing is trying to get these kids into positions because of the competition at the market
Yeah.
is overwhelmed by You had a CFO of a company. Now he just wants to hang out at the Lowell'S and, and put bags in. And, a lot of people are doing that today.
Well, I don't know if they want to hang out. They can't. The cost of living is so high they can't afford it.
And whose fault is that? It's the person who's calling people snowflakes. It's my generation. We are acceptance of all of these wasteful spending pieces that we need to rein in and say, here we are. We're going to give back a good environment for people. And every time we challenge that environment, someone puts friendship over function. And when you start looking at that, whether it's the Democrats, the Republicans, or anyone else, you look at how petty the Republicans are right now when they're looking at all of these grants coming in. If you put this on your email, you can't get the grant. Come on. It's going to the lowest income people in the country. And you're so petty that you can't even understand. Who cares? All I want to do is get the money to the person who's in need.
Well, there you are. You want to get the money you don't want it to go into somebody else's pocket, though.
Right. And the administration to a lot of these grants is high before the dog. I think it was Ronald Reagan in the 1960s.
The tail's wagging the dog.
Who said, who spends your dollar better, you or government? If you give government $1, and I think at the time it was like 35 cents of it was waste before it even reached the program that you wanted it to go.
That's right.
That was in the 1960s, which is over 60 years ago. Today, how much do you think of that?
How about the fraud in Minnesota?
Right, same
We're just
thing.
going to look the other way.
Right.
In the fraud in Massachusetts, we're just going to look the other way. I mean, how many people live in public housing and their boyfriend lives with them and he's been there for years? And the answer to public housing board of directors will tell you they're allowed to have a guest.
Our judicial system's soft.
Well,
That's the problem. And the housing authority will tell you, we take them to court and the judicial system does nothing for us. And the same thing with the homeless situation. We send people off who've been arrested 5 times for narcotics and real strong narcotics to the courts, and they get sent out. Ask a police officer how frustrated they are at that system. And then we keep electing the same people over and over again, and we say the same things over and over again. We want change. Well, again, it's okay if you don't like me and don't elect me. I am very okay with that. I did the best I could while being an elected person, and that's all that people have to ask for. And I do think that jobs are required. Last night, I think Councilor Robinson was the one who put in a motion asking for all the non-ordinance people how much their raise increases were over the last 4 years. And the manager and Councilor Rourke and even Councilor Robinson said retention was a big piece to trying to keep people. We had, I think, 50-something open jobs when the manager came in. And now we have people applying for jobs. We have people who want to be here. They were talking about a dispatcher position that's open. They had over 100 applicants for the position. So that tells us that we have a strong base on trying to get a good work market. Are the numbers correct, the number of people that we have in the system? I would say they're not. But we need to get people who are more qualified for the positions that will actually perform in a certain way to get to a certain place. But when you look, it's just sad that we have people who will identify a whole generation based off of just hearsay stuff. It's very tough to believe. There's a lot of challenges that this generation has that my generation didn't have. We used to have Muldoon's gas station down there. We used to pump gas. You could do that stuff. There were so many things you could do that now have been automated away from jobs and that kids could get into the actual workforce. You look around, now you go to scanners in some of these supermarkets where, thank God, Market Basket, and I don't know if it's going to continue, doesn't have that. So kids can have a job. We need to create jobs and give people opportunity and push them to a place where there's a challenge in each position that they have, and you'll stop calling anybody anything, because I think that you'll see that they'll definitely perform because the outcomes are what they want.
Well, it's a knee-jerk reaction, isn't it? That you always say the generation coming up is...
Absolutely. It's a great statement. I agree with the statement. It's a motivational statement to people.
But you look around and there are kids that work and kids that don't work. And back in our generation, I started working when I was 15. Most people did. You did. It's just...
I was extremely lucky to start on the city.
And my son did.
Yeah. As an 18-year-old kid in 1989, there were still World War II people working. There were still Korean people working, people who went to Korea. And then there were Vietnam, and I get to work with Desert Storm people now and all the Afghanistan veterans. World War II people were different. They were so blunt force trauma, it was just go do it, and you just shake your head and you just went and did it. Korea was more laid back. They weren't as strong, forceful as them, but they still had that forceful side of them. They were not going to take your gripe. They did not care if you had a finger cut off. They were like, put a Band-Aid on it, go back to work. Vietnam people, I think that's when a lot of things changed. My father is a Vietnam veteran who did 2 tours in Vietnam, is a door gunner in a helicopter. And that generation disliked government. My father still dislikes government because of what they did to them when they sent them over there and they came back, and how people here treated them and government treated them, from Agent Orange to everything that they were exposed to. So they were very reserved in the workforce. They just did it. They just went and did it themselves. If they told you to go hang, a piece of sheetrock and you weren't quick enough, they'd push you out of the way, put it up, boom, 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 let's go. Where World War II would force you to do it. And then when you started looking, management skills had changed. When I started off on the city, there was smoking in city vehicles. There were things going on that were different. But then the 1990s came around, and it was a major change there that said, you're not going to do this and everything. And you asked people to adapt to something that they weren't capable to adapt to at that time. And today, the norm is what those changes were in the late 1990s and the early 2000s. And we're seeing it with the students now and the kids. Now it's put the phone down, don't drive with the phone, and this and that. But in the beginning, it was no one had phone laws, so everyone was driving like that.
Yeah.
And people like me who were supervisors would call the employee's phone to get them to do the next work order or this or that. Or now employees are pushing back saying, look, you don't pay for my phone, don't call it. So, there's a balance with some people, and the market ever changes, and we need to figure out where we're going and what we want. Is the same outcome there? I think we've had some really good outcomes in this city. When you look at our road work, you look at some of the buildings that are going on, there's still challenges. We need to bring in businesses that pay a good amount in taxes for us to offset the other end. And we'll get there. We're moving in that direction.
Now, on the Link program, is that up and running? What's the status of that?
We're just waiting for the investment. They have the projects that fit within the outlook of the program. The investments, we're hoping that will be here in the next month or two, and we'll start seeing buildings being put up and permits being pulled and investments made in our community. And that's what the driver is, and that's why we created a subcommittee with Councilor Rourke is the head person, so that he can continue this path, that the relationships that he started along the way is in the best interest of the city.
Yeah. I think at least you have something to, there's...
Oh, no, I'm sorry, you were talking Link. I was talking front runner.
Yeah.
The Link was, it's Councilor, it's Chancellor Chen. That's the one for the university. So the university is even more impressive because they're ready. They're going. They already started into their first phases. People are already in the Wanalancet Mills.
Okay, that's right.
In the piece last night, there was a motion by Councilor McDonough that said, look, we want to see if there could be a land swap deal for some land that's closer to the river, that's an open space area that the downtown people actually use. So that's a discussion that the manager will have with the chancellor, and hopefully we can come to common ground and try to see if there's a way of saving an area down there.
Yeah.
The Link project is an amazing project that you're going to see almost $1 billion poured in very fast into the city. And basically the premise of it is to take graduates from the university and have jobs right here for them, so that they stay here and have housing opportunities here for them at the same time. So it's been an amazing, and it has happened in other communities that have college communities. Mm-hmm. This type of program has been
Well, it's been a shame that you've got this university and they all fly the coop as soon as they graduate.
Right. And the ones, we do retain some, they're working for the city and other areas, but yeah, you're right. The majority fly the coop and they go to.
Unless they've done an internship or something, they've gotten connected with an engineering firm or something in the area. So.
And I have friends who stayed in the area, and engineers who work. Some of them are working on the train lines in Boston and doing the engineering work down there. But when you look,
Boston.
Yeah, he's very, very busy. But he loves his job. He says we have contracts that'll go till 2050. So they have plenty of contracts. They got they're moving along.
To where?
What do you mean?
What are they doing with the trains? I mean, they're moving.
It's upgrades. It's infrastructure work. So it's
Okay.
capital planning. It's trying to keep the system working and trying to make it more efficient.
Yeah, it's been such a disaster.
Yeah, and that's why they're needed. I mean, government calls it a disaster, but they don't want to support it also. Like if I came in tomorrow and said, okay.
No, that's not true. They've thrown a lot of money.
No, I'm talking in general government.
Oh.
Government talks about a lot of things, but they don't want to support. Like everybody wants all new firehouses in the city of Lowell.
Oh, okay.
But no one wants to pay the bill. We can talk and say all these things, and we care about their health and everything.
But you did get fire trucks. That's a step in the right direction.
Because we had the opera money. We
Well, at least you
saw
spent
it.
that on a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah, and we look at the fire department, companies closing is not a good thing for our community. Especially when we have the high overdose rates and as everyone's
Are you back
aging.
to that? The companies are closing?
Well, not yet. We managed to have an agreement not to right now.
Yeah, because
But
that was
they
a
were.
big deal that you finally got them all up and running.
Yeah, I mean, I pushed for that because I do think that
Yes, I
they
know.
save lives. And what's the cost of a life? And someone's loved one. And you're talking about they Narcan people at one moment, then they got to run from that to a fire or a car accident or whatever the 911 call is. I think that they're taxed, and we need to support. It's the same thing with our police. We use them in multiple ways that is not the traditional thing that all of us think of police back when we were younger. So we're using people as mental health agents that sometimes need more training. I think that we have to really get into the mental health end. If we can do that, then we can save long-term dollars with short-term money up front.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we get that stigma off of people, that people used to say when you saw Tommy Ellis walk in the streets, and you probably don't know who that is, but that was the guy they called Ding Ding, and
Oh, I know.
So Ding Ding was Tommy Ellis. There was something, obviously there was mental issues, and there were mental issues with a lot of people that we discard and just move right by, and we could.
Oh, that's
we could
why the
definitely help.
suicide rate is so high.
That's why I am an advocate for that co-op team that we put out there, and we're trying to get people. I can't force you to it, but if I took that same person and I brought them from being the homeless to their family and said, do you recognize, they probably wouldn't even recognize this person, but this person has a say in their mental health end. Does that make any sense to us as people? I don't know.
Well, just following people that have somebody who's living outside the house. You get kicked out of the house for good reason. When you
Yeah.
come home from work and your wife says, hey, honey, the microwave's missing. What do you think happened to the microwave? So I don't know. So you ask her, what happened to the microwave? No. Tomorrow you come home and the big screen TV's gone. You got a problem.
Yeah.
One of your kids is selling you stuff. And when you finally discover who it is, what are you going to do with that? Well, we'll send them off to rehab. We'll do this. Eventually, you're going to kick them out. If they don't straighten up and fly right, you're going to kick them out.
But they're getting better, but there haven't been programs that they could get treatment before they were too far gone.
You can't force treatment on people. Right
I
now,
understand that.
because President Trump passed this thing where you can take anybody you want off the street and put them in rehab, whether they like it or not. That's the executive order. Now, Massachusetts, because it's a Democratic state, is ignoring this. Because we got Sean McDonough in office, the common doesn't have homeless on it anymore. Whereas the guy previous to this didn't really zero in on stuff.
So where are they now?
So the homeless are going to stay off the common as long as Sean McDonough is walking around the neighborhood.
So what counselor is slacking that they're going into their neighborhood? They're there. They're going to go somewhere.
I was
Linda,
told they're in Chelmsford.
in the springtime, take a walk around.
I was told they're behind the Walmart in Chelmsford and up in Tewksbury.
Take a walk around and look at the curbstones, look at how filthy the streets are, and say, you know something? The city council in this neighborhood needs a wake-up call.
John, do you think forced treatment works?
It's better than letting them live on their own. Would you leave your dog outside forever?
So you don't want to answer the question.
Do I think forced treatment? Yes, I think it hurts. I think it helps.
Studies suggest it don't.
I don't care. The studies.
Well,
Who's doing
all
the
right,
studies?
Okay,
That's
let's,
good.
let's,
All right.
Who's doing the
there's
studies?
a big difference
Not
between
me.
addiction and mental illness.
Correct.
And they, if they're not taking their meds, and they need help.
Don't
They
you
need
think?
intervention.
It's
Don't
a
you think the
6-month
two are really hand in hand? If you're addicted, you have a mental illness.
Well, absolutely, but there's also the people that were mentally ill, that have serious mental illness, that they just put out in the street.
Well,
fend for
respectfully,
themselves.
putting him in rehab for a week is not going to help the person. You got to be in rehab for 6 months.
Absolutely.
And then, oh, it doesn't work because you keep him for a week.
Yeah.
Oh, we kept him for a month. It's 6 months.
It's a Band-Aid.
If you remember, John, when they closed all the mental health facilities, the spike that happened in criminalization and jailing, right? Now we closed all the jails, and the spike went down here, but we still had the two really connected, one and one, and we just basically closed prisons and said, whatever,
Well,
whatever
Eric, we're
happens.
doing that right
and
now.
There was no solution to the
There's
closure.
no lawyers. The
Well,
courthouse doesn't want to say anything, but there's no lawyers. You can get arrested for whatever, punching me in the nose. You go over to the courthouse, I want a free lawyer. They have to let you go because they don't have any.
Yeah.
That's what's happening in the courthouse over there. And you know what they're going, shh, we love this. We have nothing to do. We're getting paid full salary to do nothing. That's the courthouse over there, brand spanking new courthouse. Doing nothing.
Well, they're doing something. They're hurting society in the end. You know, and I think that whole challenge comes down to, you know, we lower the standards for our public safety people so that we can get them. Well, when they go in to testify, do you think they have the standard aptitude to testify against a person who's a Harvard-educated lawyer or something? No. We lowered the standards because they couldn't do the physical end. What about the mental end that we lowered the standards to? And then we start looking at, okay, the prisons, and we're closing prisons because the courts are not sending people there. But there's still a
Well, the
mental health
judges-
issue. I mean, most of the people who are in prison had a mental health issue that we've seen around here a lot of times. And it's just sad that we need to get in and regain. It's not the mental health system that it was when they closed it in the 1990s. We don't have that system any longer.
No.
We have way better treatments. We have way better ways of doing things, but everyone resorts back to those days of, oh, you know what the mental health system is like, and it's not. But
Well, when I watched the mental health system sunset itself, my Uncle Eddie took me to the Worcester State Hospital to pick up a dead guy. And so it's all tunnels there. I'm walking with my Uncle Eddie. We got the gurney. We're heading for what they call the morgue to pick up the dead guy. And we turned down this corridor, and there was this man, over 6 feet tall, completely naked, chained to the wall, screaming his head off. And my Uncle Eddie said, I'm sorry you had to see that, kid. And we had to go back that way. He was still chained to the wall, still screaming his head off. That was the mental institution that we had, and that deserved being closed.
Yes, it's.
no, I
yes.
agree.
Fix it.
But we
Don't-
didn't have a solution to anything.
That's
We
right.
Government doesn't.
we
government
closed it
doesn't-
and thought
Kick
that
it to
everything
the
was going
curb.
to disappear.
Don't just kick it to the curb. We
Linda.
still have the problem.
The government's going home at noontime today, and don't bother us until Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget, holiday weekend, don't bother us until Wednesday.
Well, that's true.
90% of the people want to do a good job. When the other 10 goof-offs just pass you their work and you have to do it, you soon learn to just keep your mouth shut.
Well, it's got to be a
Your mic's dead, so you got to drag your mic halfway between you and Eric.
Oh, mine's gone now. Oh. It's got to be a system. You've got to come up with a system that you all work together. You can't have.
Nobody can get
You can't have
fired.
the police out there doing their job, arresting people, and then the judges just putting them right out the door.
Linda, having arguments with the state since I was a little boy, now they just say, good luck with that. Good luck with that. That's their response. Good luck with that.
Well, that's discouraging.
It is.
So,
Long-term solutions are the problem for everything, right? How do you think past an immediate reaction?
prices.
Immediate reaction. That's why they always tell me, and my wife says this to me a lot, Eric, take 24 hours before you answer that.
Oh, I like that.
She said, take 24 hours before you answer that. I think that's society in the end. We want an immediate reaction to something that isn't going our
Instant
way.
gratification, isn't that what we were given?
Yeah, and I think now you see, especially in the mental health area, that it could be hurting us in a lot of
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah, they have made progress in the fact that they've acknowledged depression and things like that, and that the downside is they just throw a pill at it.
Massachusetts is a very kind
Oh,
place.
yeah, you're overweight, we've got a pill for that. It's
I see people today that look like skeletons that were just, they were overweight, not even 6 months ago.
No.
And I just question what the results of the reaction are to the health of a person that drops that kind of weight that
I think it's the growth hormones in the chicken and beef. We're eating growth hormones. When we eat chicken and beef, the growth hormones are still in it. We're going to grow.
Did they change the chicken and beef over the last year? Have you seen some people how much weight they've lost in the last year?
Yeah,
That's pills. Hey, I take Jardiance. I lost 30 pounds. I didn't do anything. I just took Jardiance and I lost 30 pounds.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff.
I'm always fearful of what I put in my body.
Yeah, well, because then they can't afford their insurance changes. It doesn't cover the med, and all of a sudden they're right back to it.
Linda, insurance is a whole nother game. Why is it so freaking expensive to go to the hospital? They have Lowell General has no competition.
No, they don't.
And you want to have anything done, the first thing they do is they want their copay. They make damn sure they're going to get paid right away. And if you can't pay, well, you got to figure out some way you pay before we're going to see you. They send you a text.
Yeah, that's if you have insurance.
And if you don't have
You're
insurance, you
on
better
the-
go find some.
No, they're being treated. They're being treated. You can't get in because they're being treated.
That's why your insurance rate's up.
Yeah.
If someone's not paying, someone
Yeah.
who is paying is going to pay
That's
more.
right. So I'm paying for that.
Hey, the calendar won't open up for tomorrow, but we have Vivian Merrill's coming tomorrow as a guest. Evelyn Thorne's going to be here, and Sam Chase, and that's tomorrow's life. Time
Well,
is
thank
short,
you for
kids. You have
getting up.
10 seconds.
Bright and early this morning, and congratulations on becoming mayor.
Well, thank you for
Good
having
luck.
me. Thank you for always having me.
Hey, are all your committees filled?
They are, yes. I
Everybody
did that
happy?
over the weekend. Yeah, I haven't had anybody ask for anything different than, we try to manage through those.
Yeah.
You want to put the best people on those that want to be there on all the committees. And I think the other 10 councils have been amazing to me, and they've been really good in this transfer.
Good. Well, good luck, and I hope you're going to come back soon.
Well, thank you for
And,
having me. Thank you. Bill.
I won't let John beat you up too much.
Yeah, that's okay.
He's all right.
He needs a hobby.
That's it. Next time, bring the manager. We'll have a lot of fun.
Thank you for watching.